We just got our first look at the multiplayer of Battlefield 6, and oh boy did we see a lot. From the curated trailers showing off maps, features, and modes to the gameplay of a wide variety of content creators, we've seen a ton of the game, and we now know most of what we're going to see in the beta, as well as a lot of what we're going to see at the full launch. It all has us cautiously optimistic for the latest release in the gigantic AAA FPS, so today on Game Rant, let's look at the hype surrounding Battlefield 6. The first thing to discuss here is Battlefield 6's core gameplay. The last Battlefield game, Battlefield 2042, is notoriously disliked, and a big part of that came from its arcadey combat, a move away from Battlefield's realistic tight core gameplay mechanics. In the gameplay at least, Battlefield 6's combat looks weighty, weapons sway, make heavy sounds, and animate beautifully. The game also seems to have a relatively quick time to kill, looking to be around 3 to 5 shots with an assault rifle, something fairly standard throughout the past few Battlefield games. This return to a modern aesthetic also carries forward to the game's movement, which seems a whole lot more grounded now. No more grappling hooks or wacky abilities, we're stuck with boots on the ground, where fights take place in tight corridors, on top of heaps of rubble, and over wide fields. In the midst of this, tanks and helicopters control large swaths of the combat area with dominating presence. Battlefield has always been the master of vehicle design, even in 2042, and that seems to carry forward here with a wide array of destructive powers to helm. The last main thing to say in terms of core gameplay is that we're back to class selection, with Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon all playing their tried and true roles, a return to form from Battlefield 2042's confusing operator system. Although we aren't fully back it seems, as there is a mode where guns aren't class locked and a mode where guns are class locked. Regardless, even in the mode where they aren't, there is still a buff for selecting from your class specific weapon set. One of the most important elements shown off throughout this showcase though was destruction. Battlefield 6's destruction looks to be the best DICE has ever offered, taking inspiration from the former DICE developers who are now working at Embark making the finals. Battlefield 6 seems to have a very similar destruction model in which most floors, walls, and even buildings can be brought down in order to bring the fight to you. The trailers and the gameplay showed off an unprecedented amount of destruction. In older games in the series, we saw set-piece locations that were rigged for destruction, giving every blown-up building or exploded car an on-rails feel, as it was just a matter of time before they were destroyed. Now, essentially everything in the environment can be destroyed, giving the maps a sandbox feel. But let's talk about those maps. At launch, there will be 9 maps, including a classic from Battlefield 3, Operation Firestorm. The main ones we saw in the gameplay showcase were Empire State, Siege of Cairo, and Liberation Peak. They all look visually distinct and fun, giving off classic Battlefield 3 vibes as to be expected with the remaster of Operation Firestorm being in the mix. Maps are one thing though that take time to truly vet, so it'll be months into the game's life cycle before we know if they're truly great. Finally, I want to talk about modes. The standard fare is all here, with Rush, Breakthrough, and Conquest being at the centerfold of the game's modes. These are the iconic Battlefield experiences, and they have been in pretty much every title since the beginning. Added to them are Team Deathmatch, Squad Deathmatch, and Domination, which seem to be a little bit more of a focus in this title. Squad Deathmatch in particular does seem like it could add a super unique fold to the gameplay. There's also a major new mode called Escalation, which is a mode where 2 teams battle for control of points that shrink over time, forcing players into smaller, more intense conflicts. Another important element in terms of modes is Battlefield Portal. Battlefield Portal was first introduced in 2042, and while it was neat in concept, it didn't ever quite garner the community it needed to be anything more than a tangent. Here, it seems like they're investing more time and money into the development of Battlefield Portal, and a lot of its DNA is beginning to feel like Halo Forge, specifically this giant ramp shot that they kept showing off. The final mode to mention here is the suspected reintroduction of Firestorm from Battlefield 5. This is Battlefield's Battle Royale mode, and while we only got a glimpse of it, rumors and leaks seem to think it will be a free-to-play mode coming after the launch of the main game. Battlefield 6 looks to have a lot of the elements that made Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 so beloved. It's an intense, modern military sandbox full of bombastic destruction led by great vehicle play, tight gunplay, and squad-based tactics. In its current state, Battlefield 6 looks pretty good, and if it can live up to the success of those that have come before it, it's bound to become one of the best shooters on the market. We here at Game Rant are excited for the open beta coming next weekend, and we're excited for the full launch of Battlefield 6 on October 10th. Let us know down in the comments if you're planning on hopping on for the open beta, and for everything else, keep it right here at Game Rant.